Shields up, Ironbreakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another video. Welcome back to Monster Hunter World Iceborne, and today we're going to be talking about monsters. Now, as you guys know, I've been playing quite a bit of Monster Hunter World Iceborne. I've been pretty much playing it to the exclusion of anything else, which I knew was going to happen. I told you guys was going to happen because I friggin' loved Monster Hunter World. It's my favorite game of all times, and with Iceborne, it's just increased that even more. And I've just been playing it to the exclusion of anything else. Even when I'm not live streaming it, I'm still playing it whenever I have free time because it's that good of a game, at least for me. So today I wanted to focus on something a little bit different because I've just been doing, meta stuff. I've just been telling guys about tips and how to play certain weapons and certain builds that I've worked on and theory crafting. And I wanted to actually talk about the real stars of the Monster Hunter franchise, which are the monsters. So in this video, we're going to be focusing on my top 10 favorite monsters for the Monster Hunter World Iceborne expansion. Now, there's a lot of factors that are going to be coming into this. Naturally, like how cool I thought the fight was, how cool I thought the monster itself was, the monster design, the abilities that the monster does, and a lot of those play a factor. So this is very much a personal list, which means that your list could be completely and utterly different from mine. It just goes to show that the design of the monsters is so well done that it allows a lot of different people to have a lot of different likes and dislikes about those monsters. As a matter of fact, I would expect most lists of this type to be completely different depending on the player himself, because these monsters are designed in different ways to appeal to different likes and dislikes of everyone. At least that's the way that I feel about it. Now, having said that, it is important to say that if you are someone that is concerned about spoilers from this moment onwards, we're going to be starting, and one of the very first monsters on the list, actually the first few monsters on the list are pretty much just straight up spoiler intensive as all hell. So if you've been kept spoiler free up until this point, thank you for showing up for the video, but you really should leave now. Otherwise, if you're ready to dive right into this, come with me. Now, the first name on this list is actually going to be an honorable mention, mostly because most of you know that he's been my favorite monster in the Monster Hunter franchise for such a long time, but at the same time, he's been with the franchise since its inception, and as such, I didn't want him to kind of be stealing the spotlight of some of the new monsters, as well as some of the returning monsters that we got in Iceborne. So I just figured I would do an honorable mention of my boy RATHALOS, in this specific case, Silver RATHALOS, which was introduced into Iceborne, and unfortunately it was spoiled for me before I encountered him. Like, I was really looking forward to just encountering him organically, because I didn't know that he was in the game and I just wanted to be surprised by it. But it's okay, it wasn't really intentional when the person spoiled it for me, so it's all good. And at the same time, it's just like a fantastic fight, really cool looking armor set. It was just like a really cool thing. And as a matter of fact, from the pair of Gold Rathian and Silver RATHALOS, the one that I probably struggle with more is Silver RATHALOS, which I find interesting. But Silver RATHALOS being back, fantastic. Cool rendition. And the thing is, though, it's still RATHALOS. We've all seen and fought RATHALOS. So I wanted to save the top 10 for monsters that maybe people haven't really seen before, especially monsters that people potentially haven't fought in Monster Hunter World. But either way, still an honorable mention for my boy Silver RATHALOS. Really, really cool. I'm still farming some of his gear, by the way.
This is something too big for us to take on. We gotta escape. Retreat now. Seriously?
Understood. Don't worry about him. He can handle himself. I know. I've been his partner this whole time. Believe me, he's the only one who can do this. He's a master hunter of the 5th Fleet. The best we have.
Make sure you get a good look at that thing.
And you better come back in one piece.
Coming in at number 10, we have SHARA ISHVALDA. Now, I told you guys we're going to start heavy on the spoilers right from the get-go. Now, SHARA ISHVALDA is, for all intents and purposes, the final boss of the main campaign. And you guys are going to be like, wow, only number 10, but the monster looks amazing. And you're absolutely right. The monster itself looks fantastic. The abilities that the monster can do, the beginning of the fight itself, where SHARA ISHVALDA is just like covered in rocks, and then you do that initial portion of the fight and you ram him into walls and stuff, and then he gets free and he really gets all of his power, and then he can do like a friggin' spirit bomb from Dragon Ball as well as a Kamehameha. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I found super interesting about SHARA ISHVALDA is that it is actually programmed into its AI that if you do the big spirit bomb and there's a bunch of dust covering the screen, players won't be able to see what is happening. So he has a tendency a lot of times to do the spirit bomb and immediately follow it with a Kamehameha in a way that a lot of players, if you're distracted, you won't be able to notice that that's what it's doing immediately after, because there's a bunch of dust on screen. It'll just like, bam, one shot a player down just like that. I thought that tactic was really cool. So the boss's abilities are really cool. The boss design is really cool, particularly when you look at its crazy eyes. Like, it's a very interesting boss in a lot of ways. And again, the question remains, why is it only at number 10? That's because I didn't find the fight itself to be that interesting. I guess it depends extremely on the weapon that you take to the fight. Because of the fact that it is a big boss, right? A lot of the times you're going to be hacking away at its legs, again, depending on your weapon. And it was a boss that initially, like the very first time I went up against it, I was like, okay, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to craft an insect glaive, and I'm going to do an insect glaive set for whenever I have to farm it, and I'm just going to insect glaive my way through it. And that's what I ended up doing, which is a little bit disappointing, because I wanted more cool mechanics that took into consideration that not everybody has weapons that can fire from range or that have like big, wide-reaching attacks. And as someone like me who was playing the Gunlance, basically my first couple of attempts were me shelling the hind legs of SHARA ISHVALDA, which is not the most interesting thing, but still, really cool boss design, really cool phases to the fight itself, and just overall a very well executed boss from a design standpoint, which is why it still earns a spot in this list. Coming in at number 9, we have the Coral PUKEI. And I know that a lot of people are going to be like, really? The Coral PUKEI? But I just really appreciated the redesign of this particular monster, because you're taking a monster that during Monster Hunter World was essentially pretty harmless. PUKEI. Nobody really struggled with PUKEI, even the tempered version or whatever. It's not really that big of a deal as a monster, so to speak, and it's a very typical monster. But even in World, I liked its design because it was very colorful, very vibrant, and its reimagining as what essentially can be considered a giant squirt gun, I thought was really cool, to the point where this boss will actually sometimes go into a plant and like start channeling water from his mouth directly into its ass and essentially act as a turret. I thought that was really cool. There's just a lot of really neat details about Coral PUKEI. And maybe some people thought that, I don't know, Viper Tobikadachi was cooler or something like that. I thought Viper Tobikadachi was cool too, but Coral PUKEI just really, really grabbed me. As well as some people might say, man, I mean, a jet of water wouldn't deal that much damage. Well, as someone who used to work in the metal industry, and, I used to work with machines that would, like, cut metal with laser. Like, when you wanted something to cut the thickest possible metal, you were looking at a water jet machine. I kid you not. Like, Google this stuff up. Like, there is water jet to pierce the thickest of metals. At least at the time, that was like the best way to really like do intricate work with a CNC type machine. It was water jet, and the fact that they put that on Coral PUKEI, I thought was really friggin' neat. His attacks are also very interesting, and ultimately he still has a lot of really vibrant colors that I can really appreciate. So Coral PUKEI I thought was really, really cool.
Dragon Razor ready now!
Coming in at number 8, we have Velkhana. Now, Velkhana probably feels to you guys like it's a little bit low on the list. That just kind of goes to show that there were so many really cool monsters in this expansion. But ultimately, Velkhana is a little bit lower for me just because, you know, a lot of the fight, you know, the main thing about that fight is the fact that she can, like, create walls of ice, which is cool. But, you know, after you go away from that particular innovation, the walls of ice, she's got her, you know, special tail attacks and whatnot. But other than that, she doesn't feel like super mega hyper unique. And it was kind of weird how you had the fight in Selyana where you use the Dragon Razor and then you eventually just go on to fight her like a regular monster. I expected a little bit more from Velkhana, I think. I guess my expectations might have been set a little bit too high. And the fact that I got to fight her in the beta was also something that when I went up against her, I knew most of the moves, which made the fight considerably easier. The coolest thing about Velkhana for me was the Selyana Siege, where you got to use the machine gun ballista thing, and then the Dragon Razor. Like, that was cool. But the fight itself, like, again, I'm not saying it's not a cool fight. It is a cool fight, and she's got some of the best looking weapons in the game, hands down. She's got some of the best sharpness in the game right now as well. But ultimately, I'm talking about the fight itself. The design of the monster is not super appealing to me because, do remember, this is very much a personal list. That's why she's so low on the list. But she's still a really cool monster. Her armor set really well designed. Her weapons really well designed. So still really, really cool. Coming in at number 7, we have Savage DEVILJHO, which, to be quite frank, is actually a monster that I still struggle with quite a bit. But the main reason he makes it on the list is just because he's such a nuisance that just shows up on a quest and just, like, tries to ruin everything he possibly can for you. And I find that to be friggin' hilarious. Maybe that's just me, because I like to have fun with the game, right? As you guys know, I have this motto that I say, Iron Breakers don't use dung pods. So basically, you know, as Iron Breakers, we always try to deal with all of the monsters that happen to show up for a hunt. So we try to complete our objective while at the same time playing around with the different monster interactions that you have. And Savage DEVILJHO is definitely one of those that will do a lot of interactions. Like, even just last night, I was hunting an acidic GLAVENUS, and Savage Joe shows up, and he just beat the crap. Like, he was literally chasing that GLAVENUS all over the map. Like, I barely had to touch the GLAVENUS to actually kill it because Savage DEVILJHO did all the work. And I think that is an amazing thing. And just the way that he animates, he's so violent, the way he slams himself onto the floor, the way his new jet beam that he's got, it's just like straight up a dragon beam coming out of his mouth. The fact that he's got a friggin' beam war, like Dragon Ball style with Velkhana, is amazing. So it's just like Savage DEVILJHO is just a monster that I really enjoy from an invader standpoint, from someone that shows up on your quests. Don't really enjoy him as much when I have to hunt him myself because he's a complete pain in the ass. Like, the very first time I went to fight him, he beat the crap out of me. I'm not ashamed to admit. He just straight up mopped the floor with me in a way that I just didn't even try to do that quest again until I significantly upgraded my equipment. Let's just put it like that. So Savage DEVILJHO, really, really cool.
It's alive?
Coming in at number 6, we have Ruiner NERGIGANTE. And I know some of you guys are going to call foul because, technically speaking, Ruiner NERGIGANTE is not that different from the original NERGIGANTE, but I did like the original NERGIGANTE quite a bit. And the Ruiner version actually does more interesting attacks, in my opinion, as opposed to the giant friggin' hitbox attack that he did. That is basically, you would be asking yourself, wait, is he doing his dive bomb attack? Yes. Well, where's the hitbox? Well, it's the whole map. And you're like, well, wait a minute, what? You know, he doesn't really do that anymore, at least as far as I can tell. I haven't fought him, like, tremendously. I fought him a couple of times. And I like the fact that now his spikes can actually apply bleed. That was an interesting addition to the fight that I wasn't expecting. And not to mention, I like the lore implications that show up with Nergigante as you complete the campaign. So the lore of Nergigante kind of adds a coolness factor to him as well that I'm not ashamed to admit heavily influenced my decision to put him on this list and to put him this high even. And I don't know, I just think that he's a really cool monster overall, and just the lore aspects of it is just a much big deal. In case you guys weren't paying attention to the story, I know that a lot of people don't pay attention to the story. It's just Ruin and Nergigante supposedly is something that nature itself created to bring balance back into the world, to kind of fight off the dangers of the Elder Dragons, which is why he's the eater of Elder Dragons. And I don't know, there's just something really magical about that, and how he kind of shows up at the end, steals the kill on SHARA ISHVALDA. I thought it was just a really cool thing. So Ruin and Nergigante earned a lot of points for me during Iceborne. Coming in at number 5, we have one of the Fated Four, GLAVENUS himself, showing up on the list. And I told you guys that GLAVENUS is one of my favorite monsters. I really, really like GLAVENUS. I think he's really cool. Unfortunately, they butchered the design of his greatsword, which should have been like his most iconic weapon possible, which I think is kind of sad, because even though but you can use the custom modification system on it, I don't think anybody cares enough about the custom modification system to have what is essentially considered a beer opener as a weapon, which is what that is. If you really look at the design of the greatsword of GLAVENUS, it's a beer opener that has a little bit of GLAVENUS flair to it, which is, it's a little bit sad, but the fight itself is still fantastic. The monster is beautifully animated, beautifully rendered, and being one of my favorite monsters from previous titles, it was just a no-brainer to put him on this spot on the list. I just really, really enjoy GLAVENUS, and it's just a damn shame that so many of his weapons were ruined. Like, for me personally, his gun lance was completely ruined. Like, it was a beautiful gun lance in Generations Ultimate, and when I crafted his gun lance in Iceborne, I felt dead. Actually, I don't think I even crafted his gun lance, did I? Because it was a terrible gun lance anyway. But just looking at the design of the gun lance, I was like, wow. I mean, it's a good thing it's a crappy gun lance, and I'm not gonna have to craft it. But just looking at it made me very disappointed, because it was a beautiful gun lance in Gen U, and it was just. But again, the monster himself, friggin' amazing. The fight itself, extremely fun. I love like his tail slams. I love his moves. I think it's a very unique monster. And some of you guys might be wondering, well, what about acidic GLAVENUS? I didn't like acidic GLAVENUS as much. I like the concept of the greatsword tail much more than the longsword tail. Maybe I'm in the minority there, but I thought the original GLAVENUS looks way cooler than acidic GLAVENUS. But, you know, I'm not saying that acidic GLAVENUS is bad. It's just like GLAVENUS right here. My favorite Fated Four. Moving right along to number 4, we have BRACHYDIOS. BRACHYDIOS is a really cool monster for me because he was in Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, which was one of the Monster Hunters that I've played to greatest things. It was the first Monster Hunter that I played with Hengist, and when I crafted BRACHYDIOS' gun lance in Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, I was just so happy because it was such a good gun lance. The blast ailment at that time was just like really, really powerful. It was he that introduced the blast ailment, as far as I'm concerned, through his slime stuff. And I like the fact that in Monster Hunter World Iceborne, the BRACHYDIOS ailment is not technically considered blast, the one that you get during the fight. It's slime blight, or whatever the hell you want to call it. And I like that it was different. I was a little bit disappointed that the weapons themselves only really do blast anyway. I think it would have been cool if the weapons did something a little bit more unique, but, you know, that would be probably a balancing issue or something like that. And there's still a lot of really good-looking GLAVENUS weapons, BRACHYDIOS weapons. Unfortunately, it's just a shame that my gun lance, once again, very much like the GLAVENUS gun lance, which, by the way, these were gun lances that had fantastic designs in Gen U. They got completely and utterly butchered by some crappy bone model. Oh, man. I was so bummed out by that, but still, The Brachy fight is amazing. The way that he just slams on the floor, punches stuff around. It's just really, really cool. And I just had a complete blast. It was actually kind of hard for me to pick between Brachy and Glavenus, who would be 4 and who would be 5. But Brachy comes out on top because, I don't know, there's just something about him just punching everything, and the fact that he licks himself up with slime and then that slime explodes. There's something magical about Brachy, you know, that I really, really dig. Okay, we're coming up to the top 3 now, and coming in at number 3, we have BANBARO. Now, BANBARO is an amazing monster. There are a couple of things that I would criticize, like the fact that this big, woolly monster that you can clearly see was designed with the snow in mind can sometimes show up in the lava in Elder's Recess. And it's like, dude, this monster would be sweating bullets. Hell, he would be cooked in seconds, but still, I like the fact that he roams around because it gives him an opportunity to lunge different things at you. So like when he's in the Elder's Recess, he throws big fiery balls of lava at people. When he's in Ancient Forest, he throws trees at you. I love the design of this monster all around. He's an incredibly fun fight. He's just a really fantastic monster all around. I love the look of his armor set as well. The alpha version, like, I really want to get layered armor for him. He's just like so cool from a design perspective, from a fight perspective. I haven't really seen a lot of his weapons, to be honest. His gun lance looked cool though. I really like the braided thing on the shield. His gun lance is also viable in late game, which is good. You can have like a normal shelling level 6, I think. So there's a lot of stuff about BANBARO to enjoy. And so BANBARO just had to be placed on here, particularly the fact that you kind of see BANBARO as like this lower level creature, but as you advance throughout the game, a lot of times you'll see BANBARO show up out of nowhere, beat the crap out of whatever you happen to be hunting, and you can tell that, like, you know, you thought I'm just a low level dude. No, I'm here to fight. I'm here to beat somebody to death with a stick, with a tree. I'll throw stuff at everybody. I don't give a damn. I loved it. Like, BANBARO will straight up pick a fight with an Elder Dragon, a tempered Elder Dragon, and not even think twice about it. Just lob a fucking tree into their face, and it is beautiful. Coming up at number 2, and hands down one of the coolest monsters of the Iceborne expansion, hands down the coolest entirely new designed monster of the expansion, we have NAMIELLE. This was also my favorite fight in the whole game because I tried watching as least as possible about NAMIELLE, and I also think that this was actually one of the few monsters that they didn't reveal everything about it. But like, from a design standpoint, you have the design of this creature that supposedly comes from the deep, because you know that all of the bioluminescence that NAMIELLE has, you can actually find that if you go super deep sea, you can find the bioluminescent stuff. The way that NAMIELLE flies and animates, you can find that like in, I forget the name of the sea creature, but there's like a deep sea creature that moves very similar to that. And then on top of it, you add the electricity of the electric eel on her as well, which is another sea creature. And you have this mix match of different sea creatures that are giving this Elder Dragon all of these different abilities, and the way in which they implement those abilities by using the water and kind of making players slide from side to side, and then using that combination of water and lightning to electrocute players whilst still being able to apply both water blight as well as lightning blight. I thought the design of this particular Elder Dragon was like completely out of this world, exceptional, outstanding, beautiful. Some of the weapon designs on NAMIELLE also friggin' fantastic. They look completely like alien. I love the fact that this is an Elder Dragon that's got a lot of really vibrant colors, which I like. There's just so much to like about this particular creature. And on top of it, like I said, the coolest fight that I've experienced in Iceborne is hands down the mechanics of the Namielle fight. I really, really, really like it. I like the fact that it also changes colors as it starts to like really use its abilities to its full potential to just like unleash thunder damnation upon everyone. It's beautiful. It's a fantastic fight. I friggin' loved it. My favorite fight in the whole friggin' expansion, hands down. But if Namielle was that cool, who could possibly be my favorite Monster Hunter monster of all time?
Yo. Check it out.
Now, when you hear this music, you know that some shit's gonna go down. As a matter of fact, every time you heard this music in the original Monster Hunter World, you probably were just like either upset or you were switching your trousers because you just took a dump on them, okay? Because you are so scared of what was coming. Like, I loved it. In Monster Hunter World, which was when this monster was originally introduced, I got to a point that I was just so enraged. I was like, dude, I'm gonna kill. Like, he was invading all of my quests, and I got into in this one quest. I'm like, I'm gonna kill you. I ended up failing the quest because I focused all of my efforts in chasing down Bazelgeuse. And with the introduction of Iceborne, the new version of Bazelgeuse called Seething Bazelgeuse, really, I just really, really like what they did with him. In terms of the colors, he's got a lot of bright colors. Some of you guys are gonna say, oh, Rurikhan just likes bright, vivid colors. I do. It's the truth. I'm not gonna lie. I'm very partial to bright, vivid colors. I love them. I think it's amazing because nowadays a lot of games almost seem like they're afraid to use these really ridiculous colors that maybe don't even make that much sense. But I think he looks amazing. And not only that, he now has the new pine cone type that he drops, which is a purple one, which explodes into clusters and it does massive explosions all over the screen. And you guys know me. I'm a big sucker for explosions. So when I saw Seething Bazelgeuse for the very first time, and this was actually one of the monsters that wasn't spoiled for me, so I got to actually experience everything from a completely fresh standpoint, I thought it was amazing. I friggin' loved it. I'm never gonna forget the first time that you see the Admiral like, oh, there's Egghead, and you gotta go take care of it. It was just really, really cool, and it just solidified this particular monster as my favorite monster of all times. And I know most people are not going to agree with that particular choice, but again, like I said, these are going to be personal lists, and Seething Bazelgeuse was just an amazing fight. And he also has my favorite armor set in the game as well, which is Seething Bazelgeuse Alpha, as far as I'm on males. I haven't seen the female version, but Seething Bazelgeuse Alpha on male characters, in my opinion, is the best looking armor in the entire game. It looks amazing. The monster himself looks amazing. It's just a really, really cool fight. Really, really cool monster from a design standpoint. And his new big-ass nuke attack that he's got is also even killed me earlier today because I forgot I did not have guard up. So he's just like, he does his nuke and I'm like, I'm just going to block that. Boom, one shot. I was like, oh, well, there you go. There's Seething Bazelgeuse showing his love for you, Rurikhan. Anyway, what you guys thought about this list, let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you all very much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit it up with a like. If you did not enjoy the video, hit it up with a dislike. Feedback is extremely important. Also remember, leave your comments and feedback on the comment section down below. If you enjoy my content, subscribe, hit the bell notification icon. Maybe YouTube will notify you of my videos like a year from now for some random reason or something like that. Either way, stay strong and may your shields never break.